Maybe by on Monday I will be asking.
Okay.
Could you please share me this PPT, means the schedule, so that like even I can have
Okay.
the list.
I'll do. Yes.
And you were telling you'll be sharing the Excel sheets.
Yeah, I have to. I will.
Okay. Thank you.
So today we look at some expressions or how do we use aggregation functions or anything. So aggregation functions or expressions or functions to do transformations work similar to how you work in SQL scripting. Now in SQL scripting, basically you have various data types, right? So you'll have to really when you're doing scripting, you have to concentrate too much on those data types for doing transformation. But in Qlikview, like if I have mentioned already, there are only 3 types of data types. One is text, one is numeric, and one is dates, basically. So only 3 things. Now in these 3 things, you majorly convert them. If it is numeric and if it is not reading as number, you convert them to number, force it to read it as number or anything. Qlikview as such is very intelligent. When you load data, it understands what data you're loading and puts the data type for those states. Sometimes while you're loading from database, it might not. Now let's look at this. So I have this table. I have sales territory. I have the territory ID over here. Right, I have the territory ID. I have the tax amount. Okay. So if I want an aggregated table where it just has the territory and the overall total tax amount. In the sales order header, the tax amount will be for individual sales order ID, right? So I just want to create a dummy table. Now I'm gonna use the 2 fields. One is the territory. Another one is the sum. Now, so just like how you do in SQL, if I have to do the aggregation, I'll put the sum of tax amount. So this sums up the tax amount. Now I'm doing resident load, sales order header. Now along with this, now I have to mention when I'm using sum. So aggregation functions is nothing but which reduces the number of rows, right? Suppose you have 10 rows and you're running some aggregation. So it aggregates, it sums up or multiplies, or it generally reduces the number. Now when it reduces, I'll have to definitely group it by. So it's the standard scripting process. So I'll group it by whatever fields that I want to. Now, just like how I can't add extra fields and not use it for group by, right? It's similar to that. So if I add another field, I will have to use that field also in group by. So I can't use basically like a couple of fields only for grouping it by. If I reload, my sales territory table separately would have been created by now. Territory tax over here. So it's at 5 and 2, sum of tax amount. So it is group by. Now these aggregation functions in the script are categorized in a separate tab. So if you see the second tab in the bottom, is nothing but functions. So it has all the functions listed over here. To begin with, it has the aggregation function. So if you go to functions and the category is aggregation. Under this, you have average, concat, sum, max, minimum, median, so various functions, various mathematical, which can aggregate over like a couple of records basically. I will go through a couple of functions which are very important, which are regularly used. The other ones maybe you can practice as and when you have a requirement. Now, group by can be, like I said, whenever you're using sum, max, any aggregation function, you will have to use the group by function. Group by. In case you don't use group by, the script is going to fail. So it's invalid expression tax, sum of tax amount. So whenever you use any aggregation expression, you will have to use a group by function. Now these functions, right? So whatever functions you're seeing, categories or functions, there are two kinds of functions. One that you use in your scripting and one that you use in your dimension. A lot of functions that we are seeing, we'll see over here, like the sum, all these things, you can run them in the script, in the UI also. You can use these functions in the UI also. And some functions from the UI, you can use it in the script. Like you can use most of this in the script. Now what happens is there are a few functions very specific to UI and few functions very specific to scripting. So you can't use those functions in UI, neither you can use the script functions, the UI functions in the script, like the color. So this color has a couple of functions. These are majorly UI functions. So you can call these in UI and use this. So this, you can't use them in the script so to do any processing unless you have any color requirement or declaration. Then there is conditional. Conditional is just like if, class, pick. Now pick, match, while match are not like, I mean, they work on a transformation. So you can say, you can give a pick, you can give a position, and you'll have to give the list of all the values. First we'll look at the if condition. The if condition is similar. If sum of tax amount is greater than 70,000, one and 0. You can have multiple nested ifs. That means once you have this 1 and 0, below that again you can have, I mean, like you would have used, right? So you can have multiple nested ifs over here. So there is no restriction or any kind of difference between the normal scripting and this. It is more than 70,000. It is 1.
Tax amount is greater than 70,000,
like
1 L0, and again.
Sorry, again?
Like this is only if condition. What if we can go for if and if this, then this, else this, like this, if then else condition.
Okay, there is no if then else is not. Suppose if it is greater than 70,000, 1. If it is not greater than 70,000, then if it is greater than 60,000, right, you'll have to write that kind of expression. The sum of greater than 60,000. The next level, right? So you can say 2 or else 0. That's all. You'll have to write the nested if. So there'll be, it is the else. See, if it is true, it is 1. If it is not true, you'll have to give the next statement. Within that statement, if it is true, it is 2. If it is not true, instead of 0, you'll have to write another expression over here. So that's how, I mean, in the functions, basically, you write, there will not be any if else. You'll have to, I mean, the else part is this. If it is not true, you'll have to give another expression. Same is vice versa. So if you want to check if sum of greater 70,000 is, sum of tax amount is greater than 70,000, within that, if any other value you have. So when it is true, you can give another if condition. So there are two statements, right? So when the sum of tax amount is true, what to do? If it is false, what to do? Else. This false one is nothing but else. The first one is the true. In the true also, even if it is true, you might want to check few more parameters after like confirming it is true. So that also you can mention.
Okay. How we have analytical functions in SQL along with the SQL, along with the, like you have mentioned territory ID, and then you have gone for aggregation function. So in that, like we are adding, but only we can use the fields by which we are grouping it, right? To resolve that, like for the detail analysis, we have in SQL that analytical functions. Like not only you can group by with territory ID, you can do the summation, as well as you can also mention other fields which are not involved in grouping the fields.
Okay.
I hope you got it.
No, I don't think so. It will be valid that way. Are you sure? Because what happens is, see, if you include any other field, suppose, I'm not sure of the SQL thing. Maybe I'll have to check that.
No, it normal group by function. No, it's similar what you have told here. Okay, but the thing is, there's analytical functions. Using that, no, you can use this function, and along like we can give something like we want to give the summation by tax the territory ID, sum of tax amount with territory ID. So we'll when we are doing that summation part, we'll write that it has to be grouped by territory ID, like partition by so and so, and then group by territory ID. And along with this, all territory ID and sum, we can give other fields also, by which means it will just display. It will not add in for example, for the territory ID, you give some other product ID. Okay. Now in this group by, then we have to group by both territory ID as well as product ID. Whereas in analytical function, you just mentioned that you want to sum by territory ID, but you also want to display the product ID. Okay, but it will not be grouping by that product ID. So we have that functionality in SQL. Is it possible in this?
No, actually, I mean that function is not there. So if you have to mention, you'll have to mention that group by, because it goes by the unique parts, right? Suppose if you have territory 1, territory 1, 2, right? And you have, this is the territory ID. Ship method ID. And tax amount. Now what happens is, like if ship method ID is 1, if I group by territory ID and add ship method ID, so territory ID will group it by like this, so 1. But Qlikview will not be able to put this as like 1, 2, whatever the value. So it will not, it will just like, I don't know how that SQL analytical function will work. Technically SQL should update all this like total, right? Sum of 70 over here, twice. So Qlikview doesn't do like this. So it will group it by territory 1, ship ID 1. So it is gonna put this as 30 and 40. So this, I don't know, I mean how the SQL manages, but you'll not be able to do this way.
Okay. No, we like in SQL there is partition by that functionality is there. Like we can use it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in Qlikview you'll have to do this. There's the normal traditional method on it. Then there is this like counter functions. So basically one is the auto number hash 256, interval number, something that we saw for looping, record number, row number. Now this record number it gives you the exact record that you're reading, and row number gives you the exact row that you're reading. So technically both are same, but where the difference comes is, suppose if I use this right over here, I'll say record number, row number. Now I'm loading record number, I'm loading row number. There are 31,000 odd records in this particular table, sales order header. But while I'm reading, I'm reducing this where exists, using the where exists territory ID. So what I'm getting is couple of thousand records only. Now what record number does is, record number, so okay, because of this where exists, what Qlikview is doing is, it is reading 31,000 records, but it is dropping that rest of the records and taking only 7,000 records. Now these 7,000 will definitely not be the first 7,000, right? They will be like at various different places, at different indexes. Now record number records the index for 1 to 31,000 for all the records, and whichever records you read into the application and just filter and bring in the data, only those, it will not be in sequential method, but it will capture the exact record number in the database. Now row number is the vice versa. Row number, if you load 1 to 1000 records, it will sequentially put 1 to 1000. If you load 31,000, out of 31,000 you're loading only 7,000, it will still be 1 to 7,000. So that's the difference between record number and row number. So technically if you load data without any filter, both record number and row number will be exactly the same. And just bring the sales order ID and the row number, record number. So if you look at it, the row number is very sequential, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the record number, though it is starting from 1, the first record is same in row number and record number. Second record is same, but the third record number says 1548. That's the actual record index in the database. So that's the difference between row number and record number. So maybe when you want to do any indexing, right, so you can use row number so that the first row becomes the actual row. So you can, so technically if you want to order all the dates and give a rank for sales order header, so you can give this. Now for order by, the challenge is you will not be able to do an order by while reading data from an external source. Like sales order header, you're reading it from the QED. You can't apply a order by. For an order by, you always have to do a resident load, and order by will work only with the resident load. So that means I can't do the order by here. So I'll have to do temp. Then I'll have to load star resident temp order by. What I can do, I will create this record number here. Now the record number and row number will be same because I am not, or else what I'll do is I'll put the row number only here, the record number here. Order by, order date. So order by also works similarly, but only thing is you'll have to, order by works only for resident load in Qlikview. So that is something that is a little weird, but yeah. So all the dates will be ordered. So if you look at it, 4, 3, 6, 5, 9, 6, 6, 0, 6, 7, 3, the dates are basically ordered. And so is the row number. The record number is the static one, which is basically comes from the source table. I mean source table index kind of a thing. Now this composite key is right, the one that I was discussing about. So creating a composite key, like just similar to how you can do it in any other scripting. So you just have to create ampersand product ID. So I'll create a sales order ID and a product ID key. Okay. Best practice is for every key, right? So you put a key as a percentage so that you understand. So append all the key names with the percentage. You can start with the key name as key itself, but if you don't want to use the same word as key, but to make sure that you understand which are the keys, or immediately you know, okay, these are the keys that are created in the table. I would suggest go ahead and use the key percentage. Now this key is going to create a composite key of sale order ID and product ID. So basically it's a big number, right? So it's like a huge number.
So we can give some other name also, right?
Yeah, you can give some other name also. But percentage is something that is a best practice.
No, I mean to say percentage. Rather than writing only percentage key, we can write percentage some other name for the primary name of the key.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
So you don't have to mention as key. The percentage itself describes or points that this particular field is a key that is used for linking tables. So you can give that. Now this both the thing, I mean, it is good to have this. Now what happens is I can use this as a key and link it between both the tables. Now the challenge is when it is an alphanumeric kind of a situation where I'm using a lot of alphanumeric, both the fields are basically alphanumeric, or imagine if I concatenate 10 or 15 different fields that I have to concatenate and create it. So it creates a very large key and it links. Qlikview can manage that, handle that, but there is some optimization that a lot of people suggest. So what they suggest is this auto number is a functionality in Qlikview which will use these fields and assign an auto number. So it will assign a index for sales order ID and product ID. The same index will be assigned in any other table if you use it. We use the same auto number, sales order ID and product ID. So Qlikview will assign the number and maintain that same index in any other table. So if you use the same thing in a different table, okay, we don't have a different table with that thing, but it will assign the same auto number so that it will get linked. So auto number is something like you give Qlikview decide indexes a particular value, and the same index will be given to the same value in case it encounters in any other table. So it is like that. So auto number is one of the functions used to create composite keys, so that you can just create numeric keys. So auto number will always give numeric. Even if you give multiple fields with alphanumeric data, like textual data, auto number will always give you numeric.
Will it display also the number?
It will display. So if I create this, so one more thing is when you use percentage, right? in your list boxes and all the options, all the keys will come on top. So the percentage is nothing but a highlight that key. So instead of you scrolling down and understanding, okay, which is the key, all the percentage will be here. Percentage keys will be on top. So say okay. So auto number will start from 1 only. So the index is created. It is not like a very big index. It's a very helpful feature, basically auto number.
No, it is concatenation of sales order ID and product ID.
Right. So
like yeah, then it's displaying only one number, means it will display the
it is displaying the auto number index. It is not displaying the concatenated field. So auto number index will start indexing the sales order ID and product ID from the index starting number 1. So it has index from 1 to displaying the index number. It is not displaying the concatenated value.
You can say this is conceptual, means it's based on key, not the actual, means we cannot display the values of those concatenated.
Yeah, you can't display that.
Okay.
You'll have to create another field to display. That's all. I mean, you can just copy this and create one more key, so that will display the field.
So one more question. If we want to call that key in another table, so do we need to take the entire function and display over there, or do we need to like and just we can give the alias name what we have given percentage product?
Right, percentage product. So just no, not per alias name. So in that key, in that table also, sales order ID and product ID should be there, and you'll have to give an auto number over there also in that table. So if you want to create a key in a different table, so technically you'll not have sales order ID.
Key, like I want to this.
You want to use this product in another table, you're telling?
Yeah, just for example, like I have used and I have something similar kind of table with the same fields, okay, almost the similar fields. And I don't know whether it will be used or not, just trying to understand. Like I want to call this percentage product, only product with auto number. How I'll call that? I'll display the entire function over there, like auto number and then concatenation of the fields, or do I need just I can call percentage product?
So if your resident load, so if this is like this, something like this, you'll have to use this. If it is totally different table that you're bringing from the database, then you'll have to use the entire auto number and create the field in that table. So this way you can
resident load of the same. Okay. Resident, okay, resident load of the same table. In that we can use the direct name what we have given as alias name, and then for other tables we have to mention the entire function. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the counter. The next is the date time. So date time, there is a huge list of all the dates and time, and day, end, number of quarter, number of year. This all gives you like various parameters in there. So you can find out what is a quarter. So quarter end, quarter start, quarter name. So today is what 2/14/2015. So the quarter started in January. So the quarter start will be start date will be 1/1/2015. The end is basically 31st March. So it will be 31st March 2015. So that way you can find out quarter start, quarter end, everything. Now in Qlikview, how you manage dates is, suppose your fact is factual date, or here is order ID, right, for this entire analysis. So you basically go on a particular date, how many sales order ID came in, right? That is the order date. So what was your order date? How many sales order IDs came in? What and all happened? Now to do any annual analysis like time period analysis, you will use the order date itself. So you can create the order date here itself. You similar to like the functions in Excel, year of order date as year, right? Month of order date as month, right? These fields will be created and I can use them. So I reloaded this. Now all my facts are basically based on that order date. So I use year, month. Now I can filter. So I have the year. If I select 2008, all the order IDs based on 2008, based on 2007 or 2005. So I can create that kind of requirement. Now what we do is, as a best practice, we don't create these years. Now if I want more parameters for dates based on date, I'll have to create them here. Instead of that, what we do is we do a master calendar. So in your projects, it is always better to have a master calendar. Okay. In this master calendar, we'll say load from, I'll just bring in the order date from sales order header, resident sales order header. Now this order date is going to get linked to that table. With this order date, using this order date, I will create all the parameters that I want to. So month as month, year as year, month start as month start, right? Same you want, see now this order date is the same, I mean the date. Now you want to understand what is the last year date for this. So maybe like you want the last year date. If the date is 2/14/2015, you might want a field with the last year date. So the last year date is nothing but 2/14/2014. So if you subtract 365 days, you might not get right. So in Qlikview, you have much more easier methods. So that is called as add years. Okay. Now add years, what it will do is you'll have to give the field name and you'll have to specify number of years. Now if you specify the positive, suppose if I say 1, it will add 1 year. That means for 2/14/2015, it will add 1 year and it will make it 2/14/2016. Now the same 1, if I just make it negative minus, it will subtract that 1 year. So it will give me the previous year. It will keep the month and day as the same, only the year is going to change. So last year. Then you have, these are a couple of things. Just save this and reload. Now what you have is a master calendar over here with the year, month start date, month end date. So that is basically based on the order date, everything. So look at it, month start is same, right? So same. There are a lot of functions based off your requirement. You can run all of these. So you can put flags and use them. Day start, day number of year, day number of quarter. So a year has 365 days, right? So day number of year will give you the numeric value of that particular day in 365 days. Number of quarter is 90 days, right? So it will give you the value within that 90 days. So That means every Jan to March there will be 1 to 90. Then
It's kind
April
of
to
Julian dates.
yeah.
Yeah.
First work date, then month start, month end, month name. And network days will give you basically difference between two dates. Okay, I think over here in master calendar it is not really valid, but if you over here in the sales territory, sales ID, I think I used one of the function over here, make date minus order date. Now this is giving me days open irrespective based on the calendar days. Now if the user, if your requirement is you have to take only the working days, right, only the 5 days in a week, so you'll have to give net work days formula. You'll have to give the start date, that is May 2008, and end date. So you'll have to flip this a little bit. Start date will be my order date, end date will be my whatever the last date. So it will give me only the days open, it will give me only the number of days excluding the Saturday, Sunday, only the working days. So that way you can use network days. Then there is year to date, year end, year start, week. Now with all of these, now typically there will be a typical business scenario where you will have this kind of situation. So March. Have you heard of fiscal financial years?
No.
So if I take the month, right, month, okay, this is my calendar year. Year.
Is it from like April to March?
Right. So in India, if I
the
say
financial
fiscal,
year generally, yeah.
Yeah. Financial, they call it financial or they call it fiscal also. So in India is mostly financial. In US it's mostly fiscal. So they say fiscal year and there's no month, they call it as period. Okay. The fiscal year and fiscal period. Now how this works is, I'll take the example of India. India has this tax period from April to March. So technically 2014 Jan, Feb, March is still 2013 Jan, Feb, March. Sorry, 2013 only. And the fiscal period, the actual period is still 10, 11, 12. Period is 10, 11, 12. Now, but Jan is, if you take the actual month, it is 1, 2, 3.
I didn't get this 10, 11, 12. Okay, the months you're telling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Periods. The fiscal period is called as that. (2013) Jan. So it is now the new year for new financial year for 2014 will start from here, from April. So it will continue till 12 months, right? So it will, the 12 months will complete, 12 fiscal months will complete in March 2015. Till March 2015, it is still 2014. From here, it becomes 2015. Again, the cycle starts from 1. Right, so it will start like this. Now the challenge is, if this is April 4, right? April 4, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 12. So technically, my period, fiscal period should start from April. So the first month, first fiscal month. So that's why they don't refer it as month because it is too confusing. So the moment you say month, month will be Jan, Feb, March. Now you can't tell April as Jan, right? Jan of fiscal calendar.
Yeah.
So they always refer to as fiscal period, like numeric fiscal period. So the period should start from 1.
Okay.
Now to achieve this, it is simple thing. So it is like nothing but 4 minus 3. So 3 months. So 3 months is my lead, right? So in the year, 3 months is my lead. So if I subtract the current month from 3 months, 3 months lead, I will get the actual value. Now this works fine till December, right? I get my exact whatever I want to get. Now in January, if I do the same thing, it gives me negative. Now for this, there is another algorithm that's simple. It's like you subtract minus 12. You subtract this from 12. Okay, I think you need to add this to 12. You'll get the actual value. Now the challenge is, till here you don't have to add 12. From here you'll have to add 12. So it becomes little complex logic. You'll have to really work a lot. So what I did was, there was there's one more simpler thing in Qlikview. Let's take the dates of these months, okay? The starting dates, 1/1/2014, 2/1/2014, and so on. Now, if I take the month value of this, date, I'm going to get exactly the calendar months. Instead of this, what I will do is, I will add, okay, now instead of subtracting 3 months from these dates and getting into trouble, what I will exactly do is subtract 3 months and then find out the date. So what will happen is, if I subtract 3 months exactly, so technically I'll have to get 2. In Excel there is something called as add months, or I'll have to do it the other way around. You don't have to worry about this in Qlikview. Just demonstrating that. From month, I will extract from only the month part, I will subtract 3 months. Okay, so I'm telling month of that, from that month minus 3. Day, I'm going to use the same day. Now what Excel did was, what my logic, I'll not tell what Excel did. What my logic did was, from the current date, right, whatever the date is, from that date, I subtracted 3 months exactly. So what generally it is built in the tool, be it in Excel or be it in Qlikview, is when it is in December, right, or January. Now when I subtract 3 months, it automatically falls back to the October month of the previous year. So it will decide that, okay, it is the previous year. If I just subtract 30 days, 90 days, 70 days, right, then Qlikview will not understand that, okay, it has to go back to the previous year 3 months. It will just subtract 30 days and give you the solution that, okay, it is in negative, or it will give you a wrong value. So instead of that, you specifically subtract. Add months is the function, right? That's what I told. So like add years, similar to that, you have add months. It will exactly add the months or subtract the months for a particular date and give you the value. So if you are in January and you subtract 3 months, it will automatically fall back to the previous month. Now this is like a virtual table that you create. Now on this, if you do the month, right? Now on the new dates, you'll exactly get the fiscal months that you require. Right. So I have the exact fiscal periods that I want. Now over here, this month 3 is something that you have to control. So tomorrow your organization says that, I mean, in general in US I have seen their fiscal month start from July. So basically it becomes July. From July it becomes 1 to 3. It goes on till the next year. So it starts from July. Now July has a lead of 7 days, right? So now in the add months, all you have to do is instead of 3, put that as 6. I think a 6 months lead. So you'll exactly get what you are looking for. So this is something that you'll have to control, and this is how you can create it. So let's see how to do it in Qlikview. So in Qlikview, it's even more simpler. You don't have to make the date function very complicated. So there is something called as add months. Add months, October date. You just say -3. -3 will exactly subtract. So it's giving me last year date. So this function, this whole thing will give me like the exact 3 months of it. Now what I'll do is I'll use this within a month function as fiscal month. There's no fiscal date concept. I'm just trying to demonstrate that to you, what the date or what this add months will do. Okay, there is no fiscal date concept, so you don't have to use this in anywhere. Now this month, what it will do is it will give me the text value. Whenever you use month function in Qlikview, right, it will give you the text value like Jan, Feb, March. So you don't want to do that. So I'll convert this to numeric. If you now look at it, right? So my calendar date is 1st July 2015. So it's all of this. It's in month, day, year. July, August, September. Yeah. Now this order date, so if you look at it, so July is nothing but fiscal month 4. So if you subtract like from three months, so it's like that. So April is my first fiscal month. So if you look at it, so fiscal date is exactly 3 months old. So 4/1/2006 is nothing but 1/1/2006. 5/1/2006 is nothing but 2/1/2006. So that way I have been able to like create this date. So this fiscal date is nowhere, so you never use this, just for demonstration. Others you just control with add months over here. Now if tomorrow they say, like I said, if it is starting from June, put 6. I have seen somewhere it starts from November, sorry. So you can put 10. So that will give you November as your first fiscal month. So November is your first fiscal month. So this way you can easily control things that you want to. All right, so any questions?
No.
Okay.
We'll practice and let
So
you
what I
know.
would okay. So I'll leave you for the practice now. So maybe I'll catch up with you next week. So let me know. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Bye.
All right. Then thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Alpana.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.